sector. Vinod Dasari, who's the CEO and MD, Ashok Leyland, joins in for more clarification on the same. Mr. Dasari, it's great to have you on the show. It almost, given our channel check, suggests that the axle load norms will be applied to existing vehicles as well. I think that's clearly come out. Or have you not heard a confirmation of the same just as yet?
No, I have not heard any such confirmation. In fact, I am told that insurance companies are against increasing like this for vehicles which are in operation, not vehicles which are not in operation but have been produced. So there are three categories of vehicles. Vehicles which are already in operation, for which I think the insurance companies are saying that we cannot guarantee or increase the insurance for that if they increase the load. All the OEMs have also written to the ministry saying that we cannot recertify each of these old vehicles. Then there are those vehicles which are produced new but have not yet been put into operations, and for which the new axle load norms apply, which is okay for all of us. And the third is newer vehicles that will come out. I think all OEMs are ready. At least I can talk for Ashok Leyland. We are ready with the new range of vehicles already, except barring a couple of models.
And Vinod, I don't want to get this one wrong for the benefit of our viewers. Coming from your mouth will become the buzz of the market. You are not aware whether the new axle norms would be retrospectively applied. You are of the view that it would be only for the vehicles sold in the future.
Vehicles that have already been produced but not in operation, and vehicles for the future. As of now, there is no clarity whether this will be applicable to the vehicles that are already in operation.
Vehicles which are produced and are lying at dealer level or are lying in the assembly line or lying in the factory compound, do you think you will have to do some alteration? Will that cost you something? The reason I'm asking you this question is because when the emission norms were changed for two-wheelers, it costed two-wheeler companies some cost because they had to change the fittings.
No, not in our case, at least not for Ashok Leyland. Our vehicles are always designed to be rugged and robust, so they can take heavier loads. So we have done all the requisite testing to make sure that our existing vehicles that require this higher axle load can actually take, and we are not bothered by it. As a result of that, we were able to say that within 1 week of this announcement or 1 week of this month, we are able to have a full range of vehicles available, which can accept maybe 1 or 2 models for which can take the new loads also.
Mr. Dasari, I know that e-Gazette is not really clear on whether this is applicable.
It has been blown out of proportion a little bit.
Yeah, it sure has, and I guess that's because there is no clarity on whether it's retrospective or prospective. But sir, as per our understanding and as per our sources, we understand that this is actually going to be applicable on a retrospective basis. If that were to happen, assumably if it does, then how does life change for you? With us, Mr. Dasari, can you hear us clearly?
Yes, I can. I'm sorry, it got disconnected.
No, not a problem. Mr. Dasari, as per our reports, we understand that the new axle load norms are going to be applicable on a retrospective basis. If that were to come as a clarity in the next e-Gazette, how much of a damage are we looking at for players like you?
Absolutely no damage. I think this has been blown out of proportion by the media. Let me now take a minute to explain this. 60% of the vehicles that operate, or more, almost 65% of the vehicles that operate are volumetric based, whether it is oil tankers or even RMC mixers or scooter carriers or all of that. None of those have any impact. At best, 35 to 40% of the vehicles will get impacted. And the whole logic by the ministry for doing this change was anyway they are overloading and hence we are making it legal. Well, if anyway they were overloading the 40% of the people, then how come there is an increase in capacity that has been talked about by the media? There should be no increase in capacity available because they were anyway overloading. They will not be allowed to overload even more than this. That is what the minister has said. Let's say for argument's sake, only half of them were overloading and the ministry was wrong and not everybody was overloading. Even at that, if 20% of the people are overloading to now today's norms of 15%, which has been the new norm that has come today, 20% people overloading by 15% is a 3% increase in capacity. That is not at all an impact. So all this discussion as to whether old vehicles will be allowed, let them be allowed. It doesn't impact the industry. Instead, what I am very excited about is the GST drop on things like white goods. More than 10% of the industry runs on white goods and e-commerce. That will now get a real boost. And the number of vehicles that will be selling in that segment, more than 10% of our vehicles go for that. And they don't get affected by axle load. No matter what the axle loads are, they could be 60 tons per axle, doesn't matter. They will still be requiring more and more trucks. So in that sense, I'm quite excited about it. I don't know why the minister had to do this. There is no urgency for this. We are all busy doing BS6 and all of that. But at first, we were also very worried. But when we actually studied this in detail, and I, in the last 1 week, went and met every single one of our dealers across the country, our dealers are also very clear. They're saying, no, this will not have any impact. But I will tell you this. The OEMs and SIAM has written to the ministry, and I'm told the insurance companies are also telling the ministry, if you do this for existing vehicles, we cannot guarantee safety. So it's up to the ministry to say. RTOs are a state subject. They are not a central government subject.
No, but are you saying that going into the future, Mr. Dasari, like your numbers so far, volume-wise, each month have been fairly strong. I think the market is just wanting clarity that, over the course of the next 6 months, can volumes still continue to look, the run rate and volumes continue to look good, or will there be some sort of rescaling of demand on the back of these norms?
See, in fact, I had at the beginning of the year suggested a 10% increase in volume for this year, given that we had very good increase the previous year. I'm afraid that I'll have to revise my numbers now and say that the number will be more like 15 to 20%. Having traveled the country, let me tell you this, 40% of the demand right now for commercial vehicles is driven by infrastructure. It is booming. And these infrastructure the things are not something that they will finish the project in 1 year or before election. We cannot make enough tippers even if our life depended on it. And it's not just tippers, it is the RMC mixers where we are a market leader, it is the cement carriers, it is the local cement movement. 40% of the vehicles are only for infrastructure, and please understand they have zero impact because of this axle load. Okay? Then a third of the vehicles are moving because of things like personal purchases, whether it is two-wheeler, four-wheelers, white goods and e-commerce and so on. That's about a third of the business. And there, the GST has come down on many items. And as a result, and the aspirations have gone up. As a result, people are more excited in buying. For the first time, I'm seeing 4x2 haulage. The demand is going up. The TIV is going up. Tipper demand is more than 100% higher than last year. So I believe that this year's demand will actually be more bullish than what I had thought. Not the axle load impact. Trust me, there is actually a negligible impact. There's only a confusion which is very unnecessary, and I don't even know why the timing was there to try and do it for existing vehicles. I don't think any OEM will ever be able to certify a vehicle which has been in operation for 2 years. I don't even know how warranty will be administered. I don't know how one RTO can give a clearance when he crosses the state border. What if the other RTO is not given a clearance? This is not a central government thing. This is only an advisory. It is not the law. So I'm very confused about existing vehicles, but I am not disturbed by it anymore because it has no impact as such. In fact, I'm very excited about the potential that new opportunities come because of infrastructure as well as the GST impact on some of these white goods items.
Okay, so Vinod, whereas I'm glad to hear the optimist, a cheery view and a very optimistic outlook. My immediate follow-up question would be that when you are indicating that the beginning of the year you were confident of a 10% volume growth, now you're confident of a 15% volume growth. So 10 becoming 50 means that you're optimistic, you are of the view that the volume growth will be up by more than 50%. Now that's a sizable increase. How will that change life for Ashok Leyland? What will happen to your demand? Where do you think this kind of a demand would be capitalized, and how will Ashok Leyland capitalize this?
Good question. I had said 10% because, one of the things is very difficult to forecast is this industry. Now, I had always said 10% because it was a pre-election year and I thought, okay, we will get some boost from infrastructure. Our industry runs only on two things, infrastructure and GST, or GDP, sorry. Infrastructure, I was amazed. You talk to infrastructure manufacturers like JCB or Kobelco or something, none of these guys have got any capacity left. JCB, I'm told, is adding 2 more factories. Cobelco is doubling its capacity. We have, I must have at least lost 4,000 vehicles in the last 4 months if I could make more tippers or construction vehicles. So we are sorting out production constraints and supply chain constraints to take over this demand. The demand is far higher. We had estimated a 50% growth for construction-related department. That demand is 100%, in some cases is 200% increase, including the far reaches of Northeast. I had not expected a drop in GST for white goods. That has boosted the economy, and a lot of aspirational customers will want. Now, all of these white goods are only transportable by trucks. Can't transport by rail, can't transport by air, can't transport by ship. So, and you cannot load more on each truck, so this gives you a very good demand. The third is two-wheelers, four-wheelers, all of them have become, you can see the industry demand for two-wheelers and four-wheelers. I thought I heard you guys talking about that earlier in connotation with TVS and Bajaj and others. The demand is solid, and all of those vehicles are only moved on trucks.
So, oh yeah, absolutely. And I guess, Mr. Dasari, the monthly numbers are a clear telltale sign that there is solid demand and consumption is going strong. But thank you so much for taking time out and so patiently explaining to us as to how life changes. And good to hear the optimism in your voice. You're already upping your guidance for the year ahead. And I guess it's reflective in the stock price. It's recovered quite smartly. Ashok Leyland right now holding up almost about 1%.